Okay, great to see you. Good to see you, Pete. This is great. David, welcome.
Oh, really?
Bonnie Bassler, I recognise that face. Hi. Can't wait for your talk either. Willie, I've been looking forward to meeting you too. I can't wait to hear your talk. Because this is, you know, a bigger and more dramatic setting than TED has ever been in, we thought it would be good for all of us just to come in, spend a bit more time, feeling the vibe, and getting used to it.
And you don't necessarily script out exactly what you're going to say, but as long as you know.
I script a little. I'm spoken to him and I'm spoken to you.
Yeah, and I can kind of relate to Catherine the less.
So that we always try and get it consistently correct for you.
At 2 minutes, the light, it turns yellow. Okay, when it gets down to 0, which it shouldn't do, it'll stay on 0 and flash red at you. And you really must wrap up. It's much more powerful to just stand and own the stage. If you're going to move deliberately and confidently, perhaps from one spot. One person, one human being can have this picture in their head and find a way of sharing it and getting that same idea to resonate in other people's brains. How does that happen? Well, context, really matters.
What happens in these talks is that you have this extremely intimate encounter where you're sharing something to this darkened room full of people who are all, in this arena where the doors have been shut and you're either in there or you're not. And once the doors are shut, everybody's going to share this same experience. And then all of a sudden it gets broadcast. I am a writer. Writing books is my profession, but it's more than that, of course. It is also my great lifelong love and fascination.
Right away, we wanted to raise the production values, and that has to do with how we light everything, how we shoot everything, how we rehearse with the performers. We have 5 cameras circling around the speakers, 2 looking back on the audience. We've got 1 camera this year that's on a crane, so it can just swoop in over the audience straight up to the speaker.
All the talks are limited to 18 minutes. When you begin, there's a huge countdown clock. The moment you say, I'm glad to be here, it's 17:58. And you say, God, why did I waste 2 seconds with that? And then it's counting down the whole time.
Finally, you get up on stage and it's too bright and they didn't get that thing right, but you got to go, you don't get a do-over. And if you do it right, then 18 minutes later, you made an impact.
A single passionate person persuading you of their ideas is really the most ancient form of media. We evolved to respond to a person telling us a story.
I am an optimist. Any tough problem, I think it can be solved.
And so we think that this is the next generation of antibiotics, and it's going to get us around, at least initially, this big problem of resistance.
I think people want to be allowed to be virtuous.
You don't need permission from people to lead them, but in case you do, here it is. They're waiting, we're waiting for you to show us where to go next.
And on this axis, I'm showing dollar per person in income. And the size of these bubbles...
I wanted to show that the world is changing faster than anyone had understood. And I wanted to show that if we make statistics available in a new visualized format and a searchable format, it would change the world. When I was asked to speak here, I thought it was an insult. And I said, no, I'm not going to Hollywood to talk about entertainment. I'm a serious person. And June had to phone me, and she had to come and have breakfast with me and convince me to come here. And finally, I accepted it. And then it changed my life.
I usually have 90 minutes to present. I present a lot. I'm comfortable on a stage. I'm comfortable with a big audience. So that wasn't the issue for me. 18 minutes was going to be the issue. The first part was easy. The second part was the morning of the stroke. That was easy. It was the last 6 minutes. Do I teach? Or do I hold the space of what I had created with the morning of the stroke? And one of my friends said, Jill, the fruit is always out on the limb. You have to go out on the limb, which makes me totally vulnerable. And so it was that willing to go out on the limb, and the fruit was truly there.
Camera 1, are you there? Camera 2, are you there? Check, check. Oh, we're going now, we're going now. Stand by, camera 4. Dissolve to 4, go. Stand by 2.
There's something about the organization and choreography of TED that generates an intensity in the speaker and in the carving out of their work. And that focus and that intensity has an enormous effect on the extent to which an idea actually takes communicable shape.
One of the interesting things about the TED Talk is that they've actually evolved into a new unit of information. We have things like a 4-minute song, a 90-minute movie, a 5-page article, and now we have an 18-minute talk.
If you look at it from the sort of evolution of media perspective, the content perspective, the production perspective, I mean, all of those things have brought them together to become, I think, the most important videos online right now.
At TED, we're trying to take conferences into the age of a real theatre and trying to really celebrate how big a deal it is when someone great is sharing something with someone else. And if you can capture it the right way on stage in a dramatic setting with an audience oohing and aahing and gasping in the background, then people who are listening to it, even by themselves on a computer, they get excited. They tell their friends, the idea spreads all over the world.